With Europe in the middle of a financial crisis and a rise in aggression on minority groups in Europe, some people were surprised that the European Union were awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for 2012. We look at some of the issues surrounding this controversial nomination.
I think it's a timely reminder that at the time when there is a Eurozone crisis going on, when the whole project is being questioned, where there's a huge rise in Euroscepticism across Europe, including in my own country, that the European project is not just about bureaucracy and the gravy train, it's also about ensuring democracy and human rights. And you have to think of examples like Portugal, Spain and Greece, which were stabilized. More recently, and it hasn't been mentioned in any of the citations, I was in Slovakia 2 summers ago when they were on the verge of war over the issue of Hungarian minority rights. And I'm absolutely convinced that European Union membership on both sides enabled the thing to be de-escalated.
I think the prize has been given for maintaining peace and also preventing the horrors of the past. So the European Union, what it has to do is very simple: to prevent these horrors, to be a reality again, and to fight racism and anti-Semitism even harder, because that's the fact why they received the Nobel Prize. If they want to be proud of receiving it, they have to continue to fight against it.
With the rise of extremism and aggressions towards minority groups in Europe, the Union now faces a different sort of human rights challenge than in the past.
The European Union is about countries getting together, pooling their sovereignty, and not just in terms of economic prosperity, but also maintaining basic human rights and democracy, which are not just about free elections after all. I mean, we do now see, sadly in some countries, the rise of the far right and the far left and what have you, who are democratically elected, but also it's about respect for women's rights, respect for sexual orientation of other individuals, gay rights, it's about minority rights and so on, and that has to be part and parcel of the project as a whole. So I think on balance, I salute and welcome this announcement.
The European Union has to fight even more to become a political union, an economic union, and to defend all its citizens. But most importantly, to give everybody the right and to feel proud being European. There cannot be place for anti-Semitism inside Europe, because that's why they receive, and I repeat it again, the Nobel Prize for preventing the horrors of the last 6 decades, which is quite a clear statement. And if the European Union will not fight against it, the prize has been given for nothing and will be just one word in the history of the European Union and not more.
We also went out onto the streets to ask people what they thought Europe should be doing to protect the human rights of minority groups.
It's a massive problem and it shouldn't happen, and European countries should do more so that it doesn't happen. I think it's linked to unemployment, and I think it could only be solved if the European Union managed to get some kind of momentum, of growth momentum, that make the Europeans feel better about themselves and about the fact of being European.
Europe must be much clearer about these attacks on migrants, and we have to criticize. We may not accept this. It's a shame to have such attacks today in Europe. And I think Europe has to be much more assertive against nationalism and against against all the people who are attacking the rights of the migrants. Because we have learned from the 30s that too much tolerance towards any kind of fascist or xenophobic attitude leads to war, and we have to refuse and we have to fight these attitudes.
It's clear that the Nobel Committee awarded the Peace Prize to Europe for 2012 because of its history of stability and peace over the last 60 years. But with the present financial crisis and an increase in aggression on minority groups in Europe, some people would say that it has its work cut out for it if it's going to maintain stability over the next few years. Robin Creswell, JN1, Brussels.